Heavy rain, strong winds, and a construction site that simply refuses to stop. That's what we're dealing with at Camp Nou this week, and honestly, it might be the most telling sign yet of just how much pressure this project is under. Weather has been battering the site for days, slowing crane operations, stalling key installations, and pushing timelines even further into uncertainty. Today we're going to walk you through every active zone, from the north goal to the Tribuna corner, and show you exactly what's moving, what's stuck, and what's at risk. Let's start with the radial beams and compression ring area, because the situation here tells you a lot about how the weather is affecting the bigger picture. 2 radial beams are staged and ready to go up, along with several pillar sections, the phalanges, all prepped and waiting. But nothing has been installed in the last several days. Tower cranes are mostly inactive right now due to the conditions, and with more rain in the forecast, it doesn't look like that's changing soon. The aerial platforms are standing still too. The pieces are there, the will is there, but the weather simply won't cooperate. Now for one of the slower storylines at Camp Nou, the Lamas installation. Work on the slats began around mid-October, and so far, 5.5 sectors have been completed. That includes 2 finished lower zones, 3 lateral sections partially done, and the current section with only the bottom part complete. Here's the hard truth. At this pace, finishing all the Lamas across every level would take well over a year. Full completion this year is simply not realistic. Matches, holidays, storms, they've all taken a toll. The hope is for an acceleration in pace soon, but for now, it's one of the project's clearest bottlenecks. Up on the first and second cantilever levels, activity is mixed. Some elevated platforms are operating, but worker density is noticeably lower on the second level, partly because of the rain, partly because focus has shifted elsewhere. The corner zone of the stands remains the most delayed section when it comes to prefabricated seating installation. It's unclear whether all the prefab stands for the north goal corner have been fully installed yet. What we do know is that if the weather gives the crew a break, the third tier of seating could realistically be done by March or early April. That's the target they're working toward. The panel sandwich cladding is one of the more visual stories this week. Close-up shots show the cladding partially installed, looking genuinely impressive from certain angles. But there are still gaps, mainly on the left side and in the upper sections. A large number of panels are staged behind protective fencing, ready and waiting. Meanwhile, in the Tribuna zone, workers are actively tightening fasteners and pressing new sandwich panels into place. You can see the effort going into each individual panel. It's slow, precise work. A concrete pump is nearby, but idle for now. Progress is happening, just not at the speed anyone wants. Moving into the interior and ground level areas, there's actually some quiet progress happening here. Concrete has been poured and fully set in sections of the back area. You can clearly see the finished ground slab in parts of the site. Adjacent zones still need the same treatment, likely related to drainage preparation, with a small step or slope visible indicating the next phase. Some workers have found shelter in the protected interior sections and are continuing tasks there, including work on tubular supports beneath the alveolar slabs. A yellow elevated platform is active inside. Not glamorous work, but it's essential. The north goal corner was one of the busiest spots on site today, which is a bit of a surprise given how quiet this area usually is. Multiple trucks arrived loaded with rock wool insulation material, and workers were immediately on it, unloading and organizing everything on site. New anchors are being installed in this section, with roughly half already in place. There's also a concrete pump and mixer active nearby, likely working on the cantilever section of the north goal. It's a lot of activity for one corner, and it signals that structural work here is moving into a more advanced phase despite the weather. Over at the Tribuna corner, things are calmer. The interior corridors look clean and well prepared, genuinely impressive up close, though frustration remains over delayed licensing approvals that are currently limiting stadium capacity. Glass panels recently installed are stacked on the cantilever, with no new progress on the tubular structures for several days. On the right side of the north goal, two elevated platforms are working on the elevator shaft structures, one side more advanced than the other. And near the Diamante zone, a massive tent is being assembled in the parking area, with steel reinforcement bars recently installed in that section. So, that's your Camp Nou update for March 7th. The biggest story this week is the weather. It's slowing crane operations, stalling the Lamas installation, and creating uncertainty around key deadlines. That said, there are real positives. Active concreting and material deliveries in the north goal corner, sandwich panel work progressing in the Tribuna zone, and the third tier of seating potentially wrapping up by March or April if conditions improve. The Lamas timeline remains the longest concern on the project. Next week, we'll be watching to see if crane activity resumes and whether the slat installation finally picks up speed. Stay tuned. If you found this update useful, hit the like button and subscribe to Goat Stadiums. It genuinely helps us keep these updates coming every week. See you in the next one.